Alright kids, let's talk Juvia's place. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to today's video. I'm very excited to be sharing this video with you. It's gonna be a long one because I'm gonna be sharing with you guys my entire Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette collection. I did one of these in 2018. I did one in 2019. I didn't do one in 2020 because it was just a year of canceled everything. And then I just thought I would do one for this month because you guys seem to enjoy these type of videos. In the previous versions of this video that I've done, I have swatched every single shade, shown them to you guys on camera, and then just moved on to the next palette. But because the collection has grown exponentially since I filmed my 2019 collection palette video, I think it's grown by like 7 to 8 palettes. It's just gonna get way too long. My computer will probably crash 1,000 times while I'm trying to edit the video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave a playlist linked in the description box down below and up here of my entire swatch playlist. I have swatched every single one of these palettes in an individual video. So if you're really interested to see the swatches of any one individual palette, you will find that video in that swatch playlist. Because I have already also filmed swatch videos for every single one of these palettes, I'm gonna try and edit some excerpts into those swatch videos to the respective palette as I'm talking about each palette, if that makes any sense at all. But I'm not actually going to sit here and swatch for you because I don't have the energy for that today. And I've already done it all before and I have videos for those. So if you guys want to see my entire Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette collection, then just keep on watching. Go in any particular order, but I am gonna kind of like work my way down the stack. Just quickly before I get into all these palettes, I was the kind of person who was clearly, I'd purchase every single palette that Juvia's Place would come out with, that they would release, but since they're kind of like pumping them out now, kind of almost like ColourPop, and becoming a really fast trendy makeup type brand, like I've decided that I'm going to only purchase the palettes that kind of do bring me joy and will make me happy to use or to have, and not just have it for the sake of having a complete collection. So while I do have nearly all of their palettes, I hope you guys understand that I'm just, from here on out, I'm not going to have every single one of their eyeshadow palettes because goodness knows I just don't have the money or the energy for that. So alright, let's talk about the first palette. This is the palette that Juvia's Place created in collaboration with Yummy Angelina. This is what the palette looks like on the inside. It has 2 shimmer shades, 1 glitter shade, and 3 matte shades. I have not used this palette before, but I will create a swatch video for it, and quite possibly, if you guys are interested, a makeup tutorial using it as well. But this is what the palette looks like on the outside. It is so pretty. Look at that packaging, absolutely stunning. It has that usual glossy look that they have had on all their mini palettes. I absolutely love the drawing and the graphics on the outside of it, and it's so pretty on the inside as well. Look at those shades. That glitter is really speaking to me. Look at that shine. What I really love about this palette is that while it is the same size as their mini palettes don't have shade names. This one does. I don't know, it's something about shade names for me that kind of really does it for me. That's the first palette. Moving on to the Nubian Glow. This one they released as part of a holiday collection, and this is actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I just filmed a makeup tutorial using this palette and it's absolutely beautiful. This is what the packaging looks like, and on the inside you have 3 shimmer shades, 1 glitter shade, and 2 matte shades. They're very super pigmented, blendable, and really easy to build up the color on the eyes as well. Really beautiful palette. I'm pretty sure that this is the only palette I have with yellow shades where the yellow actually shows up on the eyes and it actually builds up and stays. A lot of other yellow shadows I've used kind of just like are there, but they just fluff off the more you blend that yellow into the skin. But I like that it's a little bit more of a deeper yellow, so it actually shows up on my skin, which is a darker tone. And obviously Juvia's Place is a brand that is very inclusive of all deeper, darker shades, being a black owned brand. So really super love that. Now the other palette that is kind of goes hand in hand with this one, this is the Nubian Royal, and this is also one of the palettes that they've released as part of their holiday collection just this past Christmas. This is what the packaging looks like. Beautiful, stunning, glossy packaging. It says Nubian Royal on the front. Really nice drawing as usual on there as well. And on the inside you have 2 shimmer shades, 1 glitter shade, and 3 matte shades. Now, I have said before that purple is a shade that is really difficult to formulate and hard to make one that isn't patchy, but this one is really beautiful. I also have a video creating a makeup look using this palette on my channel, and I'll also leave that playlist of all my Juvia's Place videos in the description box down below, and up here you'll find that playlist using nearly all of these palettes. Really stunning palette, really beautiful purples in this. I really super enjoy using this palette as well. Alright, we're now gonna go into the minis. Now, none of these palettes have shade names, which, I don't know, it's not a deal breaker for me, but I actually really do enjoy having palettes, especially Juvia's Place palettes with shade names, because, you know, I like their shade names. They're very different. This is the chocolates. This is what it looks like on the inside. You have 2 shimmer shades and 4 matte shades. Really cute little palette. Depending on your skin tone, it could also be used as a complexion palette. You can use some of these shades as bronzers, again, depending on your skin tone. But that's a really nice, cute little palette that you can take for normal everyday looks. Again, depending on your skin tone, you could probably use this for a nice brown smoky eye. But that's the chocolates palette, and that takes us to the nudes palette. This one is, again, part of their mini collection. On the inside you have 3 shimmer shades and 3 matte shades. I've had some people tell me that this is probably, while it's the most boring looking palette, it's also one of their most used palettes. It's just so neutral and really easy for everyday makeup application. As usual, packaging and the drawings on the front are absolutely stunning. Really super cute. And this is the taupes palette. Now, I've seen a lot of comments on the Juvia's Place, like Instagram and website, saying that a lot of the colors repeat and they look like they are just like repeating the same colors, and that they think that it looks very similar to the nudes. But if you have them side by side, they're actually quite different. The nudes is more of a warm peachy undertone, and the taupes is probably more of a gray cool undertone. So if you have them side by side, you'll see that the colors themselves are very different. I can understand why some people would think that they're starting to repeat over and over again, because when there's just so much to look at and so much out there, I understand that you could almost think that they're almost the exact same palette. But if you see them side by side, you can see that that's actually not the case. A lot of people would also say that it might be the same for the sweet pinks and the mauves. So I'll show you guys these 2 palettes side by side. This is the mauves and this is the sweet pinks. Sweet pinks is a little bit more of a bright, pop, cute type palette. This is the more mature but sweet, sexy older sister as well. So really super cute palettes as well. I love them. This is what the front covers look like. This is the mauves. This is the sweet pinks. Really cute little palettes. And the berries kind of almost goes in the same category as these pinks. They are not even remotely the same, but I will show you these 2 side by side because a lot of people could say that they might be almost the same as well. But if you look at these 2 side by side, again, maybe these 2 darker shades, this one here and this one here, might look quite similar. So let's put them side by side and let's have a look. On camera, it looks like it would be the case, but this one has a little bit more of a bright pink undertone, and this has a bit more of a cool purple undertone. So it does look the same on camera, I must say. Actually, you know what, I'll swatch the 2 just to kind of like prove my point. Not prove my point, I'm not trying to prove any points, but just so you guys have a bit of peace of mind if you did want to get 2 palettes and wanted to be assured that you're not getting palettes with like exactly the same shades in them. So this is from the Mauves palette. I'm just building them up for you guys because the initial swatch, I'll be honest, they actually look quite the same. All right, looking at them here, I know they actually look the same on camera. Oh my goodness. I'm not a liar, I swear you guys, I'm not a liar. So, like I said, this is from the Mauves palette. This has more of a cooler gray undertone, and this is from the Berries palette, and this has more of a vibrant purple undertone. So I can see where you guys would be coming from if you were one of those people that said they look almost identical, which I must admit they almost do. On the eyes, they could pass as the same shade, almost, but they are still kind of different. I think I found like a dupe color. So yeah, they're almost similar shades. And I just want to be transparent with you guys. I said they're completely different, but I realized they're not, so I've just proven myself wrong. But that's okay. We can have a play with these palettes and learn together. So that's the mauves, that's the berries. Those darkest shades are probably very, very similar. I said I wasn't going to swatch any shades, but I did want this video to be helpful and informational for you guys as well if you were trying to decide what palettes to purchase for yourself. Alright, and the last minis palette is the violets. This is what it looks like on the inside. Now, I do want to also compare it side by side with the Nubian Royal. The packaging itself is very, very different. But as far as the shades go, I don't quite think there are any that are almost the same. Maybe the only shades that would be quite similar would be these two here. I'm gonna swatch it just to see. Okay, now this one is definitely different. This is from the Nubian Royal and this is from the Violets palette. They are very, very different. That gives me a little bit more peace of mind in what I'm saying. This has more of a bright, vibrant type purple, and this is just more of a, like a nice neutral blue violet type purple. So that's the mini violets. Alright, now these aren't eyeshadow palettes, but I will show you just for the sake of this video. This is the Saharan Blush Volume 1 and this is the Saharan Blush Volume 2. I feel like the formulas are quite different when it comes to using them on the eyes. They are not eyeshadows, they're formulated to use as blushes, face complexion palettes. So this is what they look like on the inside. I definitely use this palette a lot more than I use this one because this is just better suited to my skin tone, but this is really, really pretty as well. That would be a stunning blush on someone with a really dark skin tone. So that's the Saharan 1 and 2. Again, I have swatch videos for every single one of these palettes that I'm showing you, except for the La Mariposa. Alright, next I'm going to show you the trio. When Juvia's Place came out with the Warrior 1 palette, I was just enamored. It was so stunning, so beautiful, and I was really excited to create a look with it. Look at those stunning shades on the inside. So many shimmers, so many stunning, stunning shimmers. And then when they came out with the Warrior number 2, I was like, okay, that makes sense. They come out with the same brown, goldens, neutrals, bronzy type tones of palette. So that's the 1 and 2. And then they came out with the Warrior number 3, which I was kind of shocked to see, to be honest. I was like, okay. When I saw this, I was like, okay, well, I'm not quite sure where you were going with that, but I'm here for it because look at the packaging. This is absolutely stunning. Look at that packaging, so beautiful, so colorful, and these are the shades on the inside. When it comes to the matte shades in this palette, I wasn't really quite there for it. They were a little bit patchy, they were a little bit chalky, and not quite as pigmented as I would like them to be. However, that's not the same story for these shades in the Warriors 1 and 2. The mattes in these palettes are so, so beautiful. I've also used some of the shades in this palette as complexion shades, so not just on the eyes. I've used them as like bronzer. I've used this as a little bit of a blush type shade when I wanted something a little bit more peachy, and I've mixed it with something like with another pink blush. So these are quite versatile palettes. Depending on your skin tone, you can use them for so much more than just eyeshadows. And I mean, obviously you can't do that with this, but when I use this palette on my channel, I created like a full face using like all the shades in this palette, and it was just a little bit more something fun and playful and definitely not everyday wear. So yeah, those are the Warriors 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so this is the Saharan family. This is the Saharan 1. I'm not, how do I say this? This isn't one of my favorite palettes ever. It's just, I just have it because I was collecting all of Juvia's Place's palettes. I just wanted to have it for the sake of having it. The black in this palette, however, I think it is a very black, so I mean, it's got that going for it. This shade Iman is really, really nice as well. It's a nice bright white. And the golden shade in this palette, Wada Abi, is a really, really nice one as well. It's got some really nice shades in it, but as far as the color story in and of itself goes, I'm not completely enamored with it. I don't know, it's just not one of my favorite Juvia's Place palettes, but it's really pretty either way. This is the Saharan, that's the Saharan 1. This is the Saharan 2. Now, I love this palette simply for the packaging itself. The shades on the inside are quite nice as well. The shimmers are stunning. I really love this shimmery blue shade here called Berber, and this shade here called Nomad. Actually, I love all the shimmers in this palette. Marrakesh, Aziza, Hadia, Shaowen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of these shade names right, but like I said, I love the shade names in the Juvia's Place palettes, and this one is just like, yeah, I like this one. I also like it for the shade names. Zora is a really super beautiful burgundy, like a rich burgundy, not like a dark brown burgundy, but like more like a rich red burgundy. Love that shade right there. So that's the Saharan 2. Since I'm going by families, I may as well go into the Nubian family. So this one is a little bit, how should I say? This family I feel is a little bit diverse. So this is the Nubian family. This is the Nubian 1. And this is what she looks like. Nubian 2 is a little bit bigger as far as palette size goes, and Nubian 3 is similar palette size to number 1, but it has more of a glossy cover, and this one has like a non-glossy cover. And to be honest with you, I kind of like the non-glossy cover that the Juvia's Place palettes have. Like, I don't know if they're gonna go back to that. Looks like with all their latest palettes, they have gone to like the shiny glossy type covers, but I personally prefer the matte looking cover. Probably gets dirty easier, but it also doesn't show all the scratches as much as the glossy covers do. But anyway, that's just a personal preference of mine. This is the Nubian 1. This was probably one of my most used neutral palettes, like way back when. And when I do travel, I sometimes take this one with me. You've got a lot of shimmer shades here. So these are all shimmer shades. These 2 are shimmer shades, and these ones here. So you can definitely create a lot of really out there beautiful smoky eye looks with this palette. It's got some matte shades, some really appropriate ones for transition and crease work. So that's the Nubian 1. It looks kind of boring, but it's actually a really beautiful versatile palette for everyday smoky makeup looks. And this one is the Nubian 2. Now it could honestly be in a league all on its own because it doesn't even look remotely like the Nubian 1. It's like the Nubian 2 but like with bigger shades and a bigger palette. I suppose they upscaled the Nubian 2. My favorite 2 shades in this palette are, my favorite 3 shades actually in this palette are Egypt, Cleopatra, and Zuri. Zuri is a beautiful shimmery, stunning shimmery shade. Cleopatra is just a really rich blue shade, and this Egypt, I love green. What can I say? I just love green. Oh, so pretty, so pretty, and it just makes me excited every time I see this shade actually. That is the Saharan 2. And that brings me to the Nubian 3. This one is the Coral palette. It was kind of talked about for a little while and then it wasn't. It has a really interesting color, like scheme, color story on the inside, the cooler tones at the top, and then you've got the warm tone corals down here. I actually really like the makeup look that I created using this palette. I'm gonna leave that linked. I mean, all of them are gonna be linked anyway. Really like this palette. This one is a really beautiful one here. You can't, I don't know, camera doesn't really do it justice. I'm gonna swatch this one. Look at that stunning shimmer. Such a beautiful peach shade. It has like a really beautiful glow. Depending on your skin tone, you could use this as a beautiful peach highlight on the skin. It's so beautiful. Like you guys can tell, I get so excited when I talk about these palettes because I just like all of them. That's the Nubian family. I'm now going to show you the ones that I think there's a chance they are discontinued. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like they might be. So the Queen palette, created by Fumi in collaboration with Juvias. This is her palette. The Queen palette, there's the beautiful drawing of Fumi at the front, and then on the inside, it's probably more like a complexion palette as well. I can't say I've used this palette very much because I just bought it to have it and have it as part of my collection. But I have used it before and it's beautiful. The formula is really nice and it blends really nicely on the skin as well. The next one is the Afrique. Again, it's not a favorite palette of mine as far as usage goes, but look at the packaging on this and that drawing on the front, oh my goodness. And on the inside, look at the inside cover. It's just so traditional, cultural, not traditional, it's very cultural and full of color and just life. Now these bright neon pops of color, they are not great. I will admit, I will tell you, they're not really pigmented. They don't build up very nice. The shimmers are nice, they're okay, but again, not my favorite palette to use. I just really like it because of the colors on it. The next palette is the Nomad. Now I think possibly that they discontinued this one as well. I don't know why. It has some really stunning shades on the inside. Hey Google, Juvia's Place Nomad palette. Oh no, the Nomad is still available, thank goodness, because look how beautiful this is. I love that they drew a lady in the front with this beautiful big hat. I don't know if there's a traditional name for that hat. It's on the same on the inside cover, and on the inside you've got some really, really beautiful shades as well. You have 2 shimmer shades and the rest are matte shades. These shades are kind of right up my alley. Like I said, I love the green type vibe. I'm wearing a green shirt right now. Love this palette. I haven't used it a whole lot, but when I have, I did enjoy using it. The next palette is the Zulu by Juvias. These are all by Juvias, duh. Look at that drawing on the front. Look at the packaging, absolutely stunning. And the shades on the inside are right up my alley. Bright, bright pops of color. But when it came to actually using it, the mattes in this palette are not great at all. I will admit, like, as much as I love Juvia's Place, I'm going to be honest with you guys with my experience with each individual palette. The mattes aren't very... You kind of have to really work with them to build them up and get the desired opacity and get them as vibrant as they look in the pan. You also need a really decent base to apply these mattes on top of, and you need to be patient as you build them up on the eyelid. They are usable. I have used these shades before, but again, you need to be patient as you're building them up. Same goes for the shimmer shades in this palette. You need some type of sticky base for the shimmer to stick on top of. Otherwise, these ones are a little bit dry and they tend to just kind of flake off. So you do need a decent base for it. So while it's not the worst palette ever, it's definitely not the best one out there as far as bright, vibrant pops of color type palettes go. The Tribe, I'm gonna see if the Tribe is still available. Hey Google. Okay, I don't think this palette is available on the Juvia's Place website anymore, which is kind of unfortunate because I absolutely love it. Like, look at the packaging. Beautiful, bright, neon palette. And on the inside, you have 3 stunning shimmers, 4 stunning shimmers, I should say, and 5 really nice matte shades. Now, I don't know why it's been discontinued. It wasn't around for very, very long, and I actually really enjoyed it when I used it. The shades were really nice. The greens and the browns, it was just a really nice palette, and the shades worked really well for me. So, I don't know, maybe people weren't really super into the neon type green. That's a bit of a shame. I am a little bit partial to green, considering I love houseplants and I love green. But yeah, it's a nice palette. If you can find it out there available somewhere, then I would encourage you to pick it up because it is a really nice palette. Now the Duce is one of their earlier ones. It's a very, very sweet, cute type palette. I also think that this one has been discontinued. It was kind of the same as the Tribe. It was around for a minute and then it was not. So if it does come available at all, or you can find it on the website or you can find it somewhere, I would say get it because it's really, really cute. Probably the only shade that I did have trouble with, if my memory serves me correctly, is the shade here called Creme. It looks really nice in the pan, but it kind of fluffed out into nothingness, so there wasn't really that much pigment there. And listen to the shade names. It's a Duce palette, which you guys probably know Duce means sweet, but the shade names are Chocolat, Tart, Creme, Macarons, Custard, Puffs, Berry Mousse, Mont Blanc, and Crepe. So it's kind of like a sweet themed palette. So I don't know why they discontinued it. It's really, really cute, really sweet, really pretty. And I love this shade here called Macarons. Beautiful, beautiful green, shimmery green shade, really pretty, which unfortunately has been discontinued. But anyway, that wasn't my call. This one is the Festival palette. I think they released this palette sometime around, what's that big crazy festival called in the US? Coachella. That's Coachella. Not my scene at all. Anyway, this is what it looks like on the inside. I love this shade here, Abba. It's really, really pretty. If I do remember correctly, the only shade I did have a bit of trouble with building up in color was this shade Izafa. It looks bright and pigmented in the pan, but trying to build it up on the eyelids, maybe I didn't have a proper base, maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance. But if I remember my experience correctly, I just had a bit of trouble with that one. This palette is still available and in stock on the Juvia's Place website. So pretty. I haven't used this palette a whole lot. I mean, like, who even can use all these palettes a lot? It's just my collection, you guys. It's just my collection. As you can see, I like to collect makeup. Alright, we are now coming into some of the very, very earliest palettes that Juvia's Place ever came out with. If I'm not mistaken, the Masquerade was one of the first that they ever released. I don't know why. I got the large one, which I don't think is available anymore, but the mini one still is. This is what it looks like on the inside. The large and the mini are exactly the same. It's just the large one is larger and the mini one is mini. I have not used the large one yet. I got the little one to use and the large one just to have in my collection. Ooh, I think a shade just fell out. This shade just fell out from the mini masquerade. Okay, get back in there, Dahlia. Such a smooth shade. Like, I've had this for a while, but they haven't really dried out. So pretty. I get so excited when I swatch shimmers, you guys. They're just so beautiful. So that's what it looks like on the inside. What I really like about it, it's got the bright pops of color up the top here, and then it's got the warm neutrals down the bottom here. So you've definitely got shades that are great for transition work, and then you got the bright pops of color up the top if you wanted to dress up your look. When you are deciding on a palette to purchase, sometimes you think, oh, that's a bright palette, I'll get that. And often our eyes trick us, and sometimes we just see the bright cover of the palette itself. I would encourage you to take a closer look and just actually look at the shades themselves and study the shades a bit better to see if this palette itself, shades wise, is something that will really work for you if you're someone who buys makeup for the sake of use, like practicality, not collection wise like I do. So yeah, just take a closer look at the palette and think, oh, it'll have a lot of pinks in it, because that's what my brain first thought when I first got this palette, because of the pink cover. But in reality, looking at it, it's only got these two pinks right here. From what I remember in my experience with this palette, these two shades absolutely stain the crap out of my eyelids. So just be aware of that. You will need a really decent base on your skin, on your eyelids, before going in with these shades here, with these bright pink ones, because they will stain your eyelids. And I've had some of that with a lot of the other brighter pigmented pops of color in some of these palettes as well. So just keep that in mind. It hasn't damaged my skin at all, but it does stain it. So if you're someone who doesn't have to have stained skin, it's not gonna poison you. I mean, don't take my word for it. Some people might be allergic to it, I don't know, but for me, I didn't have a negative reaction to it other than it staining my skin for a little while, but it did disappear after a bit. So just keep that in mind. You do need a base for the brighter pops of color. And another one of my favorite is this one here. Now, this is the large magic. I think they came out with a large and mini magic palette, just like they did with the masquerade, but I only got the large magic, but I think all they have available now is the magic mini, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the large one. I actually really super love this palette. It's got cool tone down here and then warm tone peach, yellows, browns up here. Purples and blues, greens, browns, yellows, peach, pinks up here. When I use this palette, really, really beautiful formulation. The shimmers are to die for. Absolutely beautiful shimmers. Juvia's Place just gets it right with the shimmers almost every time. Not every time, but almost every time. And this is one of the palettes where they got it right. So this one was the magic. And the last two I have are actually quite recent ones, which I have been told were limited edition. Now, they just keep coming back in stock, so I don't know if they are, or they're keeping them there, or they're just kind of gonna keep making it as long as people are demanding for them and then phasing it out. I don't know. I don't know what Juvia's Place plan is, but it is what it is. This is the Walhalla one. I was trying for so long to get this. It just kept selling out, and then they'd restock, and then they'd sell out, and then they'd restock. So when it finally came back in stock, I purchased 3, and I actually have a giveaway running on my channel right now up until I hit 4,000 subscribers, and then the giveaway closes. I'm giving away 2 of these eyeshadow palettes, and if you want to enter that giveaway, details will be in the description box down below. Go enter that one if you haven't yet, and if the giveaway is still open. Look at that beautiful drawing on the front there. Walhalla, if you guys were not aware, which you probably are, it says there right in the cover, Walhalla means drama, which there was a lot of surrounding around about the time that this palette was created and released and launched. These are the shades on the inside. What I like is that they have small pans, because whoever needs a large pan, no one really ever hits pan on those large pans. You have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. You have 20 shades in this one palette. Again, I would encourage you to look closely at each individual shade and seeing if this palette is for you. And same goes for any palette. Before purchasing, like, see if, you know, have a look at the shades, see if it's something that you might want to use to make it worth your money, I suppose. My favorite shades in this palette would be this shade here called Fighter. Look at that stunning, stunning color. It looks a lot brighter on camera than it is in person, but it looks bright there because I've got lights shining on it right now. It's probably the only shade I actually really truly love from this palette, to be honest with you. Now, the glitters in this palette are really, really nice, but I must say you need to have a glitter glue type base on your eyelids before you apply them because they will go absolutely everywhere otherwise. So that's just a word of caution, and that was just my experience using the glitters in this palette. Really, really nice shades, really nice glitters. You just need a sticky base. Otherwise, you'll be finding glitter for days. Now, this is the Wahala 2. I actually was able to purchase this on the first launch because I actually wasn't expecting this palette, and I was like, oh, they have another one. They have another one. So I just went and bought it. Juvia's Place really needs to put me on their PR list, like, for real. Have you seen how many palettes I have here? Like, come on guys, recognize me already, please. I love your brand so much. Anyway, I know a lot of people think,
oh, this palette has so many blues and so many blues that are the same.
I have a full swatch video for this palette. I can understand why you think there's so many blues in it because there's 2 rows here. If you look closely, like, I encourage you to look closely at the palette. These are purples and these are blues. Purple and blue in the kind of hue that they almost look the same. Now, when I was swatching this palette, the 2 shades that I feel like are quite similar and were kind of unnecessary to repeat were the shades Wicked and Fury. They're almost the same. That's just a little bit lighter and that's just a little bit darker, but they are almost like the same color. It's just different levels of light and dark. That's kind of where I feel that those 2 were a bit unnecessary, but anyway, that's just my personal opinion. Same with this palette. The glitter shades need a sticky base for them to be able to sit and stay on the skin. The shade I love in this palette is this one here. This shade Fury, is it Fury? No, Fake, sorry. The shade Fake, when I swatched it, it was so smooth. It was almost like it was wet, but it wasn't wet when I swatched it. Really, really beautiful shade up there. It kind of shifts green and pink. Green and pink, you know that kind of shade? Yeah, that's that one. Really super beautiful. That's the Wahala 2. I have talked so much, I'm actually kind of dizzy right now, and these lights are giving me a headache, but I'm so glad that I was able to do a new and updated Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette collection video for you guys. You seem to enjoy the last one that I uploaded, so I thought it was high time to create a brand new one, especially since I had accrued a lot more Juvia's Place eyeshadows since that last palette collection video that I filmed. So that's it for this video. I'm not going to draw it out any longer. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for your support. I really truly appreciate that you've chosen to spend your time here with me today. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!